Hey, good morning. I'm the Fort Worth Playboy, and this is
Funny.
And we are welcoming you to the Morning Hustle here from beautiful Fort Worth, Texas. And what do we talk about on the Morning Hustle? We talk about game, pickup, relationships, and
Sex.
her favorite subject of all time. And do you want to put up the URL so they can kind of like know where?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
If you're interested in investing in yourself and us, you can reach us through fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com or myplayboysmoney.gumroad.com. Support us financially by investing in a product. Make yourself better. And we also have consulting, and we can answer your questions directly also. But if you have any questions today, by all means, go to YouTube and in the comment box, add it. We will do our absolute best to answer it during the broadcast. And I always suggest if you got Bunny here to use her as a resource because we only get her once a week now. So Thursday mornings. But we appreciate
because other people are getting
exactly. Yeah, her time is always being invested or used in some manner. But we appreciate you being here, and we do go through the timeline more. You know, we go through some other people's tweets on Thursday today too, things that we find interesting that we feel like are worth sharing and getting some discussion going. So we appreciate you guys being here. And we always start with a maxim.
A maxim.
Actually put out on like Monday or Tuesday, and in the middle of it, I go, man, it would have been better if I'd had Bunny here.
Yeah.
So
this was a good one. This is a good one. Okay. Oh, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Maxim number 67. Women regret the cocks unwrapped. Men regret the poon untapped. Poetry.
This was an easy one for me, and I had actually avoided this.
It's an easy one.
In the past, because, you know, I don't know what was in Royce's head when he wrote, especially the front end of this.
Right.
I can understand the back end. It means, you know, any guy, you always look back and you know the 2 or 3 girls you could have closed and you didn't for what you either didn't know what you were doing, your head wasn't in the game, she was giving you indicators of interest that you didn't recognize them for what they were at the time.
Yeah.
But every man has 2 or 3 stories where he missed a girl that he could have closed and could have had sex with and didn't due to some choice of his own.
Yeah.
And he may not have been, it may have been wittingly or unwittingly. But guys always regret that.
Yeah.
The Indicators of Interest book is a big one.
Yeah.
I've had almost every reader reach out to me and go, yeah, she had sat right next to me. She was flipping her little shoe off the end of her toe. And she kept asking me about myself.
Yeah.
And all I did was like give her straight answers and then leave. You know, so you have to know when girls are hitting on you or making themselves available or looking for your scrutiny. But the front end is what I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
So Bunny's going to kind of explain the women's side of this.
So girls regret the dicks unwrapped. Okay, cocks unwrapped. So what this means is, number one, it's obvious, you know, guys and condoms and things like that. But the reason for this is because there's like an intimacy barrier there whenever there's a condom involved. And so she could almost pretend that there's intimacy, pretend that there's a relationship if you're having raw sex, if you're not wrapping that baby up. But, you know, at the end of the night, if she's just fucked some guy that she met in a bar, there was no condom involved, she'll very much feel just dirty. And this is true, you know, there's the panic factor over pregnancies, there's the panic factor over STDs. But even years and years and years and years and years later, even if nothing came of it as far as pregnancies or STDs or anything that would be
a negative,
yeah, she will still think about how dirty she feels, in having allowed that to happen, in having had this sex with an unknown without a condom. She can almost forget and forgive herself for having sex in those kind of same circumstances if she had a condom, if there was a condom involved. So that's what's so fascinating. And when Fort Worth and I were talking about this the other day, it was like blowing his mind because you guys just don't think of it that way.
No, and I find it interesting how substantial or significant that one barrier is to girls. And again, the two things for guys to take away from it is, one, always have condoms. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
And two, though, I do want to convey is like, girls don't remember this stuff like guys think about it. You know what I mean? We have almost encyclopedia like film knowledge of every encounter, whereas girls, it's all feelings.
Yeah,
it's how
all
they felt
feelings
about it. Yeah.
So therefore, if she felt dirty, even in hindsight, even if she didn't feel dirty in the process because she was still there, even if she didn't feel dirty that day, that night, the next day, that week, after the fact, maybe once she gets her shit together and stops banging strangers, but whatever the case may be, those are some of the guys that she'll remember because of the negative feeling that she comes away with.
Sure.
The dirtiness that she feels and just how kind of gross she feels from it. But like Fort Worth was just saying, and I don't want to lessen this point. If you have condoms, you can probably close more girls on that first night because there's a safety factor. There's a barrier of intimacy factor. So even if you just met her, if it's a night game kind of thing, or if it's a first date, you can probably close more girls just by having that barrier already taken care of.
And just having them, again, because they'll say, do you have them? And you'll go, yeah, I have them. Do we need them? They'll be like, no.
Yeah.
Just having them available.
Yeah.
Drops a lot of barriers.
Half the time she will say, no, I'm not ovulating right now, or it's not my time of the month, or no, I'm clean,
It's kind of a last minute resistance, but if you can at least show that you're prepared, because most girls don't like them. Yeah. From what I've gathered over time, is most girls do not care for them, just like most guys don't care for them that much either.
Yeah. But
there is a purpose for them beyond birth control with an STD protection.
It really is an intimacy barrier as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it really is.
That's why we ask. That's why we have Bunny come in and give us, because I would have never figured that out.
I love it. All right. Next, got pickup. I thought this was really good. If you can't change the girl, change the girl. A Nigerian saying. I thought that was so good. I'm like, yes, exactly, 1000%.
Well, it's like we always say, we want you to focus in on yes girls.
Yeah.
Ignore the maybe girls and ignore the no girls. And I used to say, if you have time left over, you can kind of work on the maybe girls.
Yeah.
But you know what? Generally, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And you're working and you're building bad habits, which is like trying to overcome barriers, which is not what you're here for.
No.
You're not. It's not. It sells in a certain sense, but you overcoming objections isn't really what you're here for.
No.
You want to find girls that are yes girls that are like hot buyers. They need what you have, and they're willing to pay for it.
I love that, and that's a phrase that especially men can understand.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and you build bad habits. You start still opening up with girls that don't really deserve your time. So it's easier to just ignore her, delete the number, or get rid of it, and then move on to the next girl more quickly.
Yeah. That's very good. Speed matters. I love it. Okay. We are getting some questions. So let me look at this real quick. So Ian says, had a breakup with a girl because she didn't think I was serious about marriage. You guys advised me to move on. Now she's coming back and serious about it. How do you decide whether to take an ex back? That's pretty good. And a lot of times, she when you say, okay, I'm out, and you move on and have a great life, girls do go, oh, I was too hasty in denying him and refusing him.
The question is, do you want to get married?
Yeah.
And if you do, then you take her back. And if not, you don't waste either of your time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that simple.
Well, and we talk about this even with our own kids who are, of the kind of dating, serious marriage kind of things. He says, yes, I do want to get married.
Oh.
The bottom line is, if you are of an age and a mindset to kind of be in that space where you're theoretically ready to get married, if you circle back to someone who you had dated and were thinking about marriage and then didn't end up, staying with, if you go back to them, it's with the expectation that then you are going to marry that person. Otherwise, you're wasting both of your time.
Yeah, and let me convey, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Guys are not on board, or they may not even be aware she wants to get married. And some people's communication isn't that great.
It's true.
And she wants to get married. He just likes having sex regularly, and he thinks that they have a great relationship.
Yeah.
But he hasn't popped the question after 2 years, seems to be the line.
Yeah.
And so she'll break up with him. She never tells him why she breaks up.
Exactly.
He's just sitting around dumbfounded. Now he's trying to get over it. And then, her girlfriend will come up and go, well, Tammy wants to get married. You go, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. To me, they will be. Men are that clueless about the stuff we know, but we've experienced a lot too.
Yeah.
So younger guys or inexperienced guys don't realize that, it's boyfriend, engagement, wedding, house, babies. That's the girl blueprint. But guys get caught off guard by this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not unusual for guys and girls to break up because she wants to get married. He either doesn't know or doesn't want to at the time, and then he changes his mind. That's okay too,
Right.
He may not. Most guys are a little bit behind. Behind on where they're at as a relationship.
Yeah.
Because most guys are pretty happy with whatever they have in front of them.
It's true, or they wouldn't be there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I hope this helps. Yeah. He said, I've heard things like that before. You shouldn't take her ex back because she'll always be her second. It'll always be her second choice. It's
life's messier than that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we're not even of the mind, of that's not always the best policy. You can take an ex back and have fun, and plenty of people have broken up and gotten back together and turned out just fine.
Yeah.
So it's really a case by case basis. What you're usually getting this from is guys that are kind of bitter because they got dumped.
Yeah.
Most guys get dumped at some point, and she's gone.
Yeah.
But you living your best life, is really what you should do, and then take that on a case by case basis. There is no hard and fast rules in this world because we're dealing with people and behaviors.
And make no mistake, we have definitely been in the camp where we've said multiple times, never take an ex back. I want to differentiate kind of what we're talking about there, and it kind of piggybacks on what Fort Worth just said. If you are just fucking around, if you're not trying to get married, things like that, if you're just trying to live your best life and bang a lot of girls, and some girl spins off and breaks up and goes and, fucks the basketball team or whatever, and then tries to circle back, we say, if you want to take her back for fucking and for fun, great, have at it. That's up to you. But don't ever take her seriously as far as a relationship goes. Now, in cases like where, and we've talked about cases like this too, where, you guys talked about marriage or you didn't talk about marriage, but that's kind of where both of you were heading, but you weren't communicating that enough to know that. And that's kind of why you broke up, was because you wanted to get married and you didn't think the other one was on board. And then you kind of find out that you were on board with that.
Yeah.
It's almost like you reset to when you split. Now, I will say, no matter the circumstance, whatever really broke you up, if it was fighting, if it was jealousy, if it was any kind of things like that, beyond just like, I really was ready to get married and I didn't think you were, will rear its ugly head immediately, literally within the week of getting back together. And it never starts at zero. It starts back where you were when you broke up. So make no mistake, don't have rose-colored glasses about getting back together with someone in a serious way. Really think about, is what broke you up really, and only you know that, is that something that you can live with the rest of your life if you get back together, if you get married, if you carry on as if nothing had ever happened? And if so, then here's our blessing.
and make no mistake, quite often it's this marriage thing is the dividing line. The people are completely fine, but she has an idea in her head of what should be happening, and he has no idea.
Right.
She's thinking any of this.
Yeah.
Like none.
Yeah.
And it's all going on in her head, or maybe in her head and with her friends or with her family. But he is completely clueless. And if that's the case, usually there's a miscommunication or a lack of communication. Once the communication gets made, things tend to start falling into place.
Yeah.
Because he truly didn't know.
Yeah.
God,
and he says he has to think about what the real reasons were. And that's, you know, a good kind of process to go through. But if it truly was,
just didn't know.
Yeah, because you didn't know, great. If it was because there were other underlying factors that were really splitting you apart, getting married is not going to fix that.
Sure.
Especially if you get married and then start having kids. Look at your cute smile. You're so handsome.
There's a lot of, you can overcome a lot of things. You're not going to find a perfect relationship. I think a lot of people right now.
All right, next. Every seasoned player's biggest regret is, I should have asked more girls out sooner.
It's one of those universal things, and I
Yeah.
kind of mentioned it earlier, that once you get some momentum, and I mean like 2 or 3 girls in a rotation, at one, that's a transition period where you need to like learn how to manage it. And I've had guys reach out to me, they go, you know, I've been working my ass off to get some momentum. Now I've got it. I've got 3 different girls I'm meeting up with this week.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping with 2 already, and 3 new girls are coming on. What do? You know, and it's a matter of logistics and managing and categorizing each girl.
Yeah.
But every player that I know has girls that he passed on or missed, even once he kind of like knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that oh shit, I could have closed.
I could have fucked her.
I could have fucked her. So it's that pretty much sums it up, you know. And he's like, oh, and he can have 100 girls in the future, but it's that one that he missed.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't go back. You can't
Well,
go back.
thankfully, you don't have to think about that, because I'm pretty sure there's never been a girl
But
possible.
if you actually fuck everybody in town, you don't have to worry about that.
But think about, he's told the story before of that one girl that he kind of got too excited about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of became too sweet.
Yeah, I chased her. She like had no interest, and still to this day, I'm like, man,
And that's who he thinks about. That's
fucked it up. And then she like got married and has been happily married for like 30 years.
of all the nerve.
Yeah,
And
can
I'm
you
sure
imagine?
you're still
She's not. I
Facebook
can't believe she's pining for me. She's not pining for me.
She is, baby.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just a placeholder.
Oh my gosh, you're such.
Him and their 7 children.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty funny. You're a mess, and that's the real deal.
Yeah.
All right. So I had put this up. It's just an image, but the wealthy expat said, my divorce cost me over $300,000 US dollars in lawyer fees, real estate left to my ex-wife, and extra charges. Pick your spouse carefully. And I had said, a wife, and I say this all the time, a wife is the most critical financial decision you can make in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing, and people put it like as an afterthought sometimes.
Yeah.
guys especially, they don't really realize because men are the romantics, period. And so you guys, and I honestly feel like most of the men that we speak to here don't necessarily fall into this. So I say you guys, and I don't want you to think I'm actually pointing at you, but men in general tend to say, she'll do, we have a good time together, we get along fine, you know, she's got a good family, well, it'll be great. But they're putting 110%, they're 10xing their business life, they're 10xing their goals, their all of that stuff, but they're not really putting long-term goals and what ideas and you know, kind of risk management,
long-term planning,
for their marriages, and it will bite them in the ass every time.
Well, and that's like I was talking about affluent fives earlier this week. In wealthier neighborhoods, older money, and I mean even like second or third generation money, generally the family, and we're not talking about arranged marriages, but they will guide the guy towards a girl that is from a family that they know. And they trust her and they think it's a good fit. And generally they'll have her picked out relatively early.
Like,
you know,
8 years old.
Yeah. And he'll come home from college, you know, with a different chick from school, and they'll be like, she's okay. Have you talked to Katie? You know, and here's the thing is like long term, because just like Bunny's talking about your financial outcomes, because when these families marry, should she, for whatever reason, divorce, it's not scorched earth. Whereas you get a third party or a person that you don't know, and 15 years into it, it's you versus them. And guys lose everything or half or more of what they've invested in, or everything, you know, as opposed to when it stays in the neighborhood and it might be managed, or it's managed over time, or they stay married and live separately, you know, which is quite often the case. But the long-term stability of the family and the children and the money is of supreme confidence, not punishing him for fucking the secretary, or punishing him for infidelity, or punishing him at all. It's more of a separation of a partnership.
It's true.
Know? So
it's true.
That's where the affluent fives come in, because you're not dealing with craziness. So
it's true. I love it, man. You guys are vocal in the comments today.
That's
which
good.
I love.
It makes up for the other 6 days.
Oh,
where it's just me and nothing.
You're adorable.
And maybe me and Eric, maybe me and Blazer.
Balancer.
Yeah.
All right. Ignore her, which he appreciates, Balancer and Eric, because you guys are always in the chat, which is amazing. Ignore her beauty. Look for flaws. They're there. They will help you see her and treat her as just another silly girl, which is all she really wants.
It's true. It's true. If you ever get like, you know, you see these really high-end girls, be it they're successful or they're insanely beautiful, and the guy is always very dismissive. You know, it's just, he treats her like a kid's sister or an ugly girl, and it just seems to work better as she giggles and laughs. And, you know. So sometimes you just have to see them, but it also helps you if you can block out her appearance.
It's true.
And it does. It catches even seasoned players off. They'll be like, yeah, then I realized this girl's like really good looking. And I had to like suppress that. You know, so they can actually run their game and do their thing.
Exactly.
Because people go, how'd you end up with her? You know, I mean, it's always like, how did she end up with you?
What?
You know, and guys will be like, well, I had to suppress the part that she's better looking than me. You know, I had to ignore that.
Well, I remember sitting across from a guy once, and it was very much like, he was like, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever been out with, and all that. And I was thinking, that's kind of sad. I'm
That's,
literally,
again,
I'm like,
no compliments.
that maybe you shouldn't tell me that. I don't know.
It's never. I'm telling you guys, there's certain hard and fast rules, and just like this is how you step on your dick
yeah,
unintentionally. You're just doing what guys do, which is
yeah.
opening your mouth and But yeah, that's pretty.
He
funny.
would have been, he would have made a great, partner in crime. Like he would have been a pretty good, solid choice. My dad would have loved him. Like, yeah.
But he shot
But I was
himself
like,
in the-
oh no,
Yeah.
this is never
exactly.
gonna work.
And again, there's a couple lessons there. One, no compliments.
Yeah.
Two, girls want to earn your appreciation.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and they don't need to know. And girls, and the studies have shown, girls are more attracted to men that they're not sure what his feelings toward her are.
Exactly.
So
Because
the guy's
of that.
starstruck right away. It's you're giving up your cards.
Yeah.
You got to play your cards right. That's part of.
You're
game.
playing poker with the cards facing the wrong.
She doesn't
direction.
even want to know. She doesn't want to know.
No, it's
No.
true.
You can be as starstruck as and just like, holy shit, this girl's really hot.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself. Let her drag it out of you over a few weeks.
Or years.
Yeah, exactly.
See, truly, I mean, it's, but make no mistake, when you're in a relationship, you need to say, "Oh, baby, you look great today."
Even if she doesn't.
Well, but like if she takes effort in getting ready.
Oh yeah, you
if
got
y'all
to
are
like.
going out.
What do they say? Reward the right behavior.
Yeah. So focus on rewarding the good behavior, and yeah, it'll go a long way. But understand that it takes time for her to get to that place of truly earning that.
Make no mistake. Like when I was going out with Bunny, I thought I was just going to go meet like some dumpy middle class mom.
Nothing in my images indicated that I was dumpy. But I didn't have any full body images whatsoever. I didn't think anything of it.
I thought she could weigh 200 pounds. She might outweigh me. And then she just showed up
like this.
Teeny tiny. Yeah. There you go. We got to make sure the size differential.
But
funny.
Funny. He was like, "Oh."
I was like pleasantly surprised.
He was like, "You have a waist."
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, I don't usually see that around here."
That's pretty funny. Oh, Eric had a good point. Boys get starstruck. Men are more practical than that.
One would hope.
One would hope.
You get guys that are very accomplished and have their shit together, and then you put like a cute girl around them, and they're like,
Yeah.
Happens all the
Well,
time.
and we've talked about that a lot. That a lot of guys, even seasoned players, will have that one girl who trips them up. And she may not actually be any more beautiful than any other girl he's ever seen. There's just something about her that kind of trips him up. And I've told that story in one of my books. I think it was a self-confidence book. I don't recall which book, but I've told the story about when I worked at this little coffee shop, and there was this guy. Not my type at all, but there was just something about him. When he would come in, I could not use words. Like, I don't mean just like sometimes I get on here where I'm like, what is that word?
What am I doing?
I would say the stupidest stuff. I would make a complete idiot of myself. And as he would walk off, my friends would be like, what was that?
Sometimes it's just chemistry.
I talked to hundreds of people all day, every day. And I could not.
Right.
And there was nothing, he wasn't necessarily attractive. He definitely wasn't my type. It was the weirdest thing, but I could not get words out. I could not say anything that wasn't.
Sometimes there's something
just
going on
happens.
Underneath that just clicks. Be
Yeah.
it chemical. Because there's like a cute little couple that she interviewed him. He's like 6'7".
Yeah.
She's like 6 or 6'1". She had heels on. And she's like, what's it like? And
love that video.
So they've been going out like since then. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, they clicked right away.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to try. Ideally, that's how you meet someone you last with. It doesn't always work that way, but they did, by happenstance. And there's just chemistry. You can pick it up.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's very true. All right. Where am I? What am I doing? Oh, I'm ready. All right, Day Game Charisma. You guys know we like his stuff. What would you think if a woman said on the first date, "We're gonna have sex tonight, right? That this feels too easy. Something must be wrong." That's exactly what girls think when you tell them you're looking for a long-term relationship on the first date. Nailed it.
This is the best tweet I've ever seen trying to convey why you do not, again, sex first,
Yeah.
then relationship, maybe.
Yeah.
You focus in on the sex and like nuclear codilo. I hope that's how you say it.
Oh, yeah.
Let relationships are girl business.
Yeah.
And Day Game Charisma, this is the best. And I've tried to write this tweet before and I couldn't get it out properly. And this is a perfect example of why do men need to avoid any initiating a relationship talk?
Yeah.
Because girls, it causes them to be suspect. It's their business. You stay out of it. You let her bring it up. And sometimes girls don't. And that's okay. 6 months, a year down the road, she's still casual. And that's okay. That's just where you landed.
Yeah.
So instead of like forcing something, you had a buddy, a fuck buddy, and somebody you were able to enjoy being around
Yeah.
for a year or two. And it might be just where she's at mentally. Again, you have to let her, and it's usually at 12 weeks. Guys get a 12-week free trial.
Yeah.
At 12 weeks, she'll start saying things like, well, what are we exactly? Or where's this going? You know?
Yeah.
Or, I hope I'm not just a fuck buddy. So you will cross that barrier. When you get there, you got to know what you want.
Yeah.
And you'll have a response to that. But again, relationships are girl business. Keep that in your mind.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that because we like to give you guys actual actionable advice and not just make you bitter about girls and relationships or dating or any of it, whenever you encounter that, if you're truly a player and you're getting that question, things like, "I'm not really boyfriend material. I'm not really a great boyfriend. I'm just here for fun.
We have fun. Let's just see where it goes."
Yeah.
And you don't actually tamp her down. You don't go, you don't put her on the spot.
Yeah.
And you can't expect fidelity from her either.
Yeah.
Which is, one thing that guys, at least at this level, are pretty conscious of.
Yeah.
It's all kind of open. You need to have certain phrases that are not off-putting, or don't use the word fuck buddies. Don't incite that she's just somebody you hook up with. But you always have to say, "Are you having fun?" Yeah. Let's just keep having fun.
Yeah.
And not put a label on it, or go for it. But you can't. It's not indefinite, because if she's bringing it up, but you can offer it to her. And what will happen is, like, within the next few weeks, months, she'll come to you and say, "Hey, we're not going to be able to keep hooking up because I'm going out with this guy named Mike, and it's getting pretty serious."
Yeah.
They will find a guy that is more prone or open or traditional about monogamy or commitment.
Or if she gets that answer, she likes you enough and she wants to, this is the position I was in, she likes you so much that even if she understands that that's all that there may be, she wants to keep spending time with you. If there's not a reason not to, if there's not a Mike,
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes there's not because she couldn't get other guys, but because she genuinely just is enjoying the time with you. But she knows kind of not to push for next level relationships.
Right. And maybe that's,
Keep it casual.
yeah, we're with a K.
With a K.
With a capital
Casual. This is an inside joke that's probably like, they're idiots.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Again, it can last a couple of years. And just like Bunny says, a lot of it is just opportunity.
Yeah.
Or, even today in our neighborhood, people come and go physically, like they move.
Right.
So sometimes you're just there for a season and then they're off or they're moving, and so you just have to play each hand as it's dealt to you.
But have your responses prepared in advance of this. I mean, go on and think about those right now.
Huge.
Because when this comes up in conversation, you're probably going to be out drinking. You're probably going to be, in some kind of situation where she brings it up out of evidently left field for you. And you need to be prepared with your responses so that even if you are drinking, even if you're, not of sound mind, you have those responses prepared. And that way it doesn't catch you off guard and you're not stumbling around and say things you don't mean to say.
Exactly. And Royce was the one that, I keyed off of this. He had certain phrases that he would use to kind of like reinforce that he's a casual guy.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoy my freedom and I want to keep that for a while. And again, a lot of this is where I'm at right now. I may change my mind in the future. I would not bet on it. That was the frame that he would present was, this is who I am and this is where I'm going to remain. And then if you want to stick around, that's great. And if not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
You don't put a girl on the spot and this or that.
But if it doesn't set right with her, she will exit.
She'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, she will exit.
And they'll usually exit. I mean, but it'll be a gradual. Usually, they don't usually just like disappear. I think when they're younger, they'll already have somebody in their back pocket.
Right.
Be like, well, I don't think I'm going to see this guy anymore.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what Got Pickup has to say. Before you smash, the frame should always be, I'm doing this fun thing, you should tag along. Not, I would like to take you to this romantic, expensive place to try to woo your affection. Frame is game, words matter. Absolutely.
That's why it's just a meetup. We're just going to meet up.
Exactly. It's not a date, it's a meetup.
I usually don't do this on a first date. Well, we're not having a date. We're just meeting up for sex.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm just kind of popping stuff on. We're getting all kinds of good stuff up here. The conversation is hot this morning. But truly, whenever a girl feels like she gets to tag along, so to speak, with something that you're doing, that's why when you're planning a meetup, it's not, hey, let's go on this date, at this romantic restaurant and big expensive thing. It's like, hey, I was going to go to this neighborhood bar, on Thursday night. Why don't you meet me there at 7? It's very much like, I'm already going to be doing this. I'm inviting you to tag along. I think that we would have a good time. Let's see where it goes.
It's perfect.
But it's relaxed. It's something that you're already doing because you're a man about town, for lack of a better phrase. When you walk in, everyone knows your name. It's very much, a familiarity thing, but that sets the frame in a lot better light. Let's see.
And again, it's a power dynamic.
Yeah.
When it's a date, you really are, traditionally looking for her approval. She's kind of driving the truck, and you're along for the ride and she's deciding what she likes.
Yeah.
When you meet up, it's more equal footing and you're going to ascertain if she's the type of girl that you'd like to hang out with.
Yeah. You ready for a question there, Hanson?
Sure.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on ramping up the sexual intensity, like kinks? I'm into the daddy good girl kink, but want to build to that as opposed to being the standard blowjob, doggy, etc. And that's where you kind of can't, you can't go in guns blazing on the very first hookup. You've got to kind of play that role of working your way up through the sexual intensity ladder. And she may push back at certain steps along that way. Anal is one that girls tend to really push back on. But you can generally ease your way into it. Kinks, if you've got that you want to magnify and work towards, you just have to step that back. And I talk about this a lot in my Fuck Like a Porn Star course, a lot. But you just have to kind of baby step that back. Like, how do we slowly move towards the end goal of the daddy good girl kind of role play, or stronger sexual kinks that are outside of the just like blowjob on the couch and doggy style on the bed.
And again, this is where I always say you don't know a girl until you start having sex with her.
Right.
And this is one of those things you will have to read on the ground while you're becoming intimate.
Yeah.
It's not anything you can't talk about this stuff. Sometimes there's always the outliers. But in general, you can't talk because they can't.
Yeah.
They can do these things, but they can't talk about it. So you don't really know until the clothes come off.
Right.
But Bunny does have a good point, and we're talking about in general, and the exceptions tend to prove the rule.
Right.
Most girls will, at least initially, hold back on their porn star past because they don't want you to think badly or negative, and they're not sure about you yet either. So if they have any inclination of your value, they will hold back in the beginning of what they're able to do. It's just the way it is, and you'll ramp it up over time.
And it take a lot of things that are considered kinks take a lot of trust on her part. So if even anal, which seems like a very I would say a minor kink, if it can even be called that, it's something that requires a lot of trust, because girls have all had, if they've had a bad experience where some guy thinks that asshole is pliable like a pussy, and it's just not. So you can't just go at it like in the same kind of way. It's a different kind of hole. It's a different kind of area. But all kinks, gotta love these Thursday morning conversations. But all kinks require a level of trust. And so that's why another reason you have to kind of slowly, depending on the girl that's in front of you, ramp it up. If whenever you guys get in the heat of the moment and you are being physically, sexual, and she kind of lets it all go, that's a girl that you're going to be able to ramp things up with more quickly. If she's still subdued and held back when you're having sex, it's going to take a little bit more. I don't want to say coercing, because that kind of sounds like begging, but you have motivation. You really do have to be a little bit more cautious with the steps you take, and not always accelerate. Not always step on the gas. Sometimes just have normal sex, because girls will also, if a guy is always trying something new, if he's always trying to escalate sexually every single time that you have sex, she will get scared of what's to come. But make no mistake, as far as kinks go, choking, like any kind of bondage, any kind of sensory deprivation, all of these things require a lot of trust. So it kind of takes time to get there. It just takes time to get there.
And generally, there's two things that I keep in mind. It's like, one, where did you source the girl?
Yeah.
If you got her off of like a kink app, they're
totally different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
But if they tend to come from a regular app, it's expect vanilla until proven otherwise.
That's a good rule.
And another thing is early frame announcement. If you're highly sexual, they're going to sense that off the bat.
Sure.
And girls that are not that interested will bail out.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
You get girls that are completely straight, they're like, in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, I do not want to try to keep up with this guy.
Right.
And they will remove themselves from the situation. You'll never know why. But again, if you are highly sexual, somewhat aggressive, it's an early frame announcement. You really, just by your demeanor and your actions and your forwardness, and they'll say, man, I do not want to have to keep up with this guy. Because they're more vanilla, they're not that interested in sex in general. And again, like I said, most men aren't that interested in women or sex or seduction or attraction. The vast majority, it's very vanilla.
Right. Let's see. Eric also asked, is this mentioned in my book, Fuck Like a Porn Star? So yes, It is covered in my Fuck Like a Porn Star book also to a different degree. What I love about that book in particular is that I amplify in my course is that it takes everything from lighting to, positions to just different things that you as the man of the relationship or the encounter have to keep in mind so that you can take those baby steps and inch towards the sexual relationships that you really want. But you can get there even with more vanilla girls. It just may take a little bit more strategy.
Exactly. It depends on your patience.
Yeah. So go to myplayboysbunny.gumroad.com for the Fuck Like a Porn Star book or the Fuck Like a Porn Star course. Let's see. Next. Oh, this was pretty. I thought this was just funny. The before and after a girlfriend setup.
How do you prevent that?
I don't know. Look around. When we met, he had a box on the floor that was
my end table.
His end table.
It worked just fine for like 5 years.
And I will say the only reason you have a new bed since I came into your life is because we broke the old one beyond recognition, beyond
It was
fixing.
starting to list to the side like a boat sinking.
All kinds of
But
problems.
look at all that.
I
Look
know.
at that. All that.
Well, we don't have that, so.
Yeah. I didn't have a couch either, and now I've got a couch.
You wanted a couch. That's why I got you a couch.
And don't let these girls lie to you. Like she's lying to me right now. You see the top picture? It doesn't just it's not magic that it just wake up one day and it looks like that. It's a long, drawn out process of, I think what I had pointed out was girls first show up and start leaving shit behind, because usually it's a toothbrush, correct? But in Bunny's case, she had taken a part of my closet that I wasn't aware of because I didn't go into it. And I walked in one day and I'm looking for something, and her clothes are hanging in my closet. But I don't have a girl that lives at my apartment. I was dumbfounded. And she had quietly, with no permission or any conversation, moved in.
You're welcome.
She did have an hour commute, but that's beside the point. It's the principle.
I just want to point out, whenever he saw that, and we had a good giggle over it, a good laugh. So then I took everything out. And what was it, one weekend later when I was over for the weekend, and he was like, well, let's go for a bike ride. And the problem was, because I had taken everything home,
She didn't have a wardrobe.
I didn't have anything to wear.
Yeah, so now I'm inconvenienced. And that's not okay.
And so I ended up going on a bike ride wearing nothing but his clothing.
Yeah.
And I looked homeless. And it was in the winter.
I forgot about that.
It was in the winter. And I looked absolutely homeless. And he never had an issue with it beyond that.
But that's like guys that are smart. They, just like men who have children, they have an allergy to dogs.
Yeah.
Or that truck is called the music truck. It's not the ice cream truck. It's the music truck. It just drives by and plays music. There's no ice cream involved. He can't have a dog because he's allergic.
Yeah.
And this is where you don't have a home decor budget. You just don't have any money for it. So you never have to worry about that. If you don't, well, what are you willing to pay for a couch? I'm not. I don't have any money for a couch. And then you move forward. That is my suggestion.
And then she buys you one with her money.
Yeah, with a birthday present. And throw pillows, all kinds of shit.
You don't have any throw pillows. Don't even give me that. All right, you handsome devil. They're like, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting. We're not. It's all in good fun. Okay. Last but not least, I believe that the cell phone is ruining more relationships of any kind, whether that's parental, whether that's, friendships, you name it, than cheating, abuse, alcoholism, workaholism ever did. So this is.
Just want to show you something. This is the psychological power of the device. What if I was sitting here talking to you, holding my phone? It's not buzzing, it's not beeping, no one's calling me, I'm just holding it. Do you feel like you are the most important thing to me right now? No, you don't. That's the association. So when we show up for a meeting or we sit down for dinner with our families and we put the phone on the table, it sends a psychological message to everyone sitting there that you are not the most important thing to me right now. And putting the phone upside down is not more polite. Put it in airplane mode to take away the temptation that something's coming in, and put it in a bag or on a shelf out of sight. And this is how we should be interacting with people, giving them our full attention. Because the idea is not that we hear the words they say, but that they feel heard. And this is one of the tricks. If you wake up in the morning and you check your phone before you say good morning to the person sitting next to you, you probably have a problem. If you have to take your phone from room to room, no matter where you go, you probably have a problem. And just like any recreational drug, the more you practice leaving it away. For example, if you go out for dinner, you don't need 4 telephones. Leave one at home, leave one in the car. You have one with your spouse, it's fine. If you have a client meeting, leave it in the car, leave it in the bag, never take it out. And it becomes easier and easier. And you find it easier not to be sucked in by the fear mongering as well. So like any addiction, it just takes a little work.
I like this because, well, for lots of obvious reasons, but I like this because we have talked in the past, especially a lot about girls having their phones, girls being inconsiderate with their phones on first dates. And so I want to make sure that people understand that, number one, that's the real deal. You need to also be respectful with your phone. But know that going forward, you know, when you go to a restaurant or you go to a bar and you look around the room, you will see table after table after table after table of couples just sitting there at the same table, each on their phone. It's incredibly unfortunate.
Well, the 2 or 3 things that I've noticed as far as like with phones going. One, if you see like a group of girls, it always kind of catches me off guard. And there's actually probably a couple explanations, but they're all dressed very well, but they all have their phone in their hand.
Right.
We're talking about like 6 or 7 girls.
Yeah.
You know, is it because they don't have any pockets?
Oftentimes, and make no mistake, even if girls have pockets on their dresses, it then makes the clothing hang differently and weird and shows. And so even though girls celebrate having pockets, they rarely use them because it messes up it looks like terrible.
And everything, girls don't need money, so they don't need a purse or a wallet. So the phone being the only thing, but they all have one in their hand.
Yeah.
I would be afraid of losing it. That's just me. The second thing I've noticed is the higher you go up the food chain in man world, the less important. Every really high earning man that I know, I've never seen them with a phone in their hand.
Right.
Or they have like the lowest, cheapest flip phone still.
Yeah.
You know, that their staff would love them to like get rid of. But they also don't want to do an email. The higher you go up the food chain, the less you see the phone being in their hand. I'm sure I don't deal with tech guys, so it may be different in your world, but generally they don't.
Well, I will say from a female perspective also that men who have to be on their phones all the time, it's not a sexy thing to see, because that means that he's always answering to someone else. He's not the boss. He's not the top of the food chain. He's at the bottom. And
physically, you don't look good.
No.
And I learned that pretty early on. Like having a phone in your hand as you're walking, one, you've got to get rid of it to do anything. 2, no man looks good or masculine when he's like this.
No.
It's just a bad look. You know, do that in the privacy of your own home. You know,
privacy of your own bathroom.
Or in your car. Yeah, exactly.
Like a normal person.
Like a normal person. God, keep that private. You don't have to do it in public. So just remember, how you look matters.
Yeah.
It adds up over time. And no man looks good. I mean, you never think of like World War II pilots like looking at their phone.
Yeah.
Before they go on a fight or flight. You know, I mean.
Thank goodness your phone was so close so you could do that demonstration.
Well, in case I need to go. Case, oh, yes.
Someone
Everybody.
looking for me.
Yeah, someone's looking. She's right here. She'll let me know if anybody's looking for me.
That's right.
See, that's how you do it.
I will say, as far as first dates or like dating mothers of small children or single moms or something, make no mistake. If she is respectful though with her phone and says from the front end, I have a babysitter, you know, I don't think anything's going to go wrong, but my phone's right here only because if she calls, I'm going to need to get it. And that's truly like she's not checking it constantly or anything like that. I will say there's a respectful way to handle situations like that.
Mom, generally we say when girls go out, if they're on their phone, go ahead and just like, you can ask her to put it up, and then if she doesn't, you just leave. You know, leave her with the check, leave her with whatever you need to leave her with, so you can leave the room.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start dealing with moms, no matter what age the kid is, you know, they can be in their late teens, early 20s. She'll have to take that call. She'll have to check the phone occasionally. Generally, they're like, it's my 5-year-old. They're going to bed. I gotta say goodnight. I'm gonna step away, and then I'll be right back.
Right.
You know, that's what you normally see. So you have to have some, like we always say, take each situation on its own merit.
Right. And don't be a dick.
Nope, you can't do that.
And this is true whether the kids are with a babysitter.
Oh yeah.
You name it. I mean,
They have their
no matter
habits.
the age. Yeah, for sure. Anyway,
great show.
great show. Thank you guys so much for jumping in.
And if you have any interest in supporting us financially, there's a button at the top, has a little dollar sign on it. You can make a donation or purchase our products at fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com or pick up Fuck Like a Porn Star or the entire series or the course at myplayboysbunny.gumroad.com. And you can also go straight to myplayboysbunny.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got her website set up. And you can go do a consult too for both of us.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great day, and we appreciate you spending the last hour of your day with us.
We love it.
Have
Or
a great
starting your day with
Yeah.
us. Have a great day.